Welcome to Bows and thanks for joining me today. I've realized that the world today, as a result of where we find ourselves, lots of people make excuses. It's not okay to make excuses. You know, I know that we're faced with pressure. Some people are faced with multiple challenges. But you see, if you cannot fly, you have to learn how to run. And if you cannot run, you have to learn how to walk. If you cannot walk, you crawl. You have to continue doing what you do. You have to keep moving forward. You know, somebody who has learned how to crawl, who has actually learned how to walk from crawling and also is flying. He is an example of what consistency means. He's actually been consistent in everything he does and he's growing. I've seen him grow. I have seen him being diligent in what he does. He has endured. There is always light at the end of the tunnel. If you know this is for you, I want you to stick around as Taiwo Adedeji would share his thoughts on why consistency is key for growth, is important for growth. Taiwo will be sharing with us on things and hacks that he has found very useful to get him to where he is. If you have a goal, you have a clear vision, and you need that push, this is for you. Can we welcome Taiwo Adedeji? Hello, Taiwo. Thanks for joining me. I'm really excited to have you on Vows. How are you?
I'm well, thank you, Dr. Bola. I appreciate the invite. Thank you.
Yeah, unlike what I would normally do, I'm going to start with a post I found on your social media page. And the post says, I walk slowly, but I never walk backwards. Wow, I looked at that post and I think it was Albert Einstein or Abraham Lincoln. I think I found it on your post. Lots of people make excuses, and like when I was saying in the introduction, somebody who I have actually seen while learning how to crawl. He started walking. While he's walking, he's been able to run and he's flying. So can you share with us what triggered that post? And of course, today we're talking about why consistency is important, is key for growth. I have seen you grow. You're an example on why consistency can help us to grow. Can you share with us what you think here?
All right, and thank you, Bola, for that laudable, I would say, introduction. So so that quote is something that I believe is dear to my heart and speaks a bit, I'll say a lot about my story as well. So growth is something that could have a positive and a negative thing. So if you're growing, you're increasing, and you're moving forward. The positive side of growth. But if it's the negative side of growth, you're moving backwards. Now, with growth, however slow or fast you walk, as long as you're moving forward and you're growing, you're increasing and progressing, then it's worth the time or it's worth the adventure. So for me, it's a philosophy of my life that I just want to move forward in everything that I do. So however slow that is, however fast it is, well, thanks be to God, but I always like to move forward in all that I do. So I think those are a few things that I believe inspired that quote that I posted.
Yeah, and you see, in life, one thing I have always said to people, thanks for sharing that with us. A lot of people make excuses, when times where the world has changed, and people have to understand that they really have to work with the way the world is, as opposed to making excuses. And you see, there's one very good quote that I like. It says, pressure can actually break a pipe, but it creates diamonds as well, you see. So we face with pressure, but you just have to keep going. So what have inspired you to be consistent? Because I have seen you being consistent, and to you, you're doing beautifully well. I'm super proud of you. I'm one of the people to say yes. Hats off for you. Well done on all you do. So what helps you to be consistent, and what has actually brought you to where you are now? If you can share with us.
Okay, that's a multi-million-dollar question, to be honest, but I would make an attempt. And thanks, it's a good question, by the way. So one thing that helps me to be consistent over the years is what I'll call vision, or having the end in mind. If I don't have a vision, if I don't have an end in mind, then I would have gone away, from the track, or I'll have been distracted. That's where the word distraction. So that that traction. So having that vision in mind. So I always have this in mind that I'm going somewhere. I'm a Christian, which I believe and God has opened my eyes to see that He has something in store for me. I've come to this world to make a change and to make a difference wherever I find myself, and which is part of my core values. That I want to live an impeccable life, and making people know the essence of their living. So each time I find myself in discouraging situations, like maybe, for instance, I'm in the academics, and maybe there's some challenges I'm going through, it comes to mind again, and it plays back in my mind to say, Taiwo, you are there to make things different, to make things better. So I get encouraged by that, and it just pushes me to just keep trying and keep moving on. And I've never stopped from there. So I would like to say that it's not going to be easy all the time. The life, like they say, is not the bed of roses, even though some people contest, that saying that, life could be its bed of roses, but, it just depends on your perception about the roses. So you could make it, good, or you could make it bad in that sense. Easy. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you. So it's just like I said, the vision, that having that end in mind. So that helps me. That vision, helps me to just keep going regardless of what I'm going through in the present. So that helps me for my consistency.
Yeah, and yeah, just for those that are watching, if you're watching these, I want you to, in the comment section, while Taiwo is sharing his thoughts, I want you to share things that have actually kept you consistent with what you do and that has helped you improve to grow. Leave those comments so that we can see and we can learn from you as well. But Taiwo, just back to being consistent and helping you to grow. Do you think the environment in which you find yourself can help you to be consistent?
Oh, definitely. So there's something called community. Well, everyone would know the word community, but in the actual sense, the community you belong to determines how far you will go in life, or how consistent you will be. So there's something called bad energy. Don't surround yourself with a community that has bad energy. You see, surround yourself with people who are going somewhere like you are, if indeed you are going somewhere. So, and that community is situated in an environment. So, someone could just come and say, all I just want in this life is just to be a secondary school graduate, and that's it. And whereas maybe some people have that just similarity, they just want to work in maybe, I won't mention the name of company because I'm being recorded, but some people would just think that the best they can be in life is just to be, I would say maybe a carer or something. There's nothing bad in being a carer, but they just want to low skill job and that's it. And as long as they can just pay bill or do one thing and that's it. But maybe
they're comfortable with where they are. Like from our, I think the last 2 weeks show, the guest said, until you are not comfortable with where you are, not until that time you are able to take the step to move further. So, yeah.
Exactly. Now, even thank you for that, Bola, for injecting that into it. Now, even if you want to do care and that's where your calling or your vision is, do you actually aspire to be the manager of that care? Do you want to be the director of care?
Yeah.
Which is fine, you understand, but not that you just want to be in that maybe the lowest level and then you're fine with it because you're able to pay bill or do something. So, back to what we're trying to say that um, it's environment that you are. If people surrounding that community or environment you are, that's the way they think, that's the perception, then you'd consciously, unconsciously become that way, and you start thinking that way. So for me personally, I like rolling with people who are looking forward, who are not comfortable, like you said, with where they are. And you are even a testament to that, really. I have seen you struggle. I've seen you go through tough times. And you are a doctor today because you stood by what you believe in. You fight for things to get them in the right way, and you got it. You still carry on even with what you're doing now. For me, I'm always impressed by like, wow, you're still doing the show despite how busy you are as a mom, as a wife, as a professional, as an academic, and all of those things. So I believe in those things, and I see people in that sense, and I'm inspired by that. So for me, you are one of those people in my community to some extent, and I'm saying, okay, if Bola can do it, I can do it as well. So your environment matters a lot.
Yes. So what I would try to do is you have sort of, it goes back to your first point of having a vision. So if you have a clear vision and a clear goal, working towards it will make you intentionally find the right community that you want to become. So you're looking at, I want to be here. These people, what are the sort of people that, which part of my group or the community I am, I find myself is in line, is aligned to my vision. For you to intentionally be part of that community. And yes, I absolutely agree with you. And I would like to say that the future belongs to those who plan for it today. So you have to intentionally plan to be part of the right community for you to be consistent.
Definitely.
For you
Absolutely.
to be consistent. And yeah, unfortunately, like I said, the world is not waiting for anyone, because the world belongs to those who are intentional about where they want to be.
Definitely.
About where they want to be. But then aside that,
right,
in regards to consistency, if you're not able to find the right community and you possibly have a clear goal and a clear vision and things are not working, I know at some point you have found yourself in a situation where you are making efforts and things are not working the way you want to work. And a little bit to what I have said before, if you cannot fly, you run. Can you throw more light on that in regards to consistency? When you're actually doing the right thing, you found yourself in the right community, you have clear goals and vision, and it doesn't seem like it is working. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people that find themselves in this situation. And yes, they want to be consistent, but it's not working. The environment is not friendly. It could be financially, it could be spiritually, it could be physically, it could be even the environment you find. It's not friendly for you to be consistent.
Yeah.
Can you share with us how it has worked for you?
Okay. Thank you, Bola, for that. Now, I think I might take a bit of time to just list some qualities of consistency, if you may, to answer this question, and I hope we'll have a good smooth ride in this. So how this has helped me, so I can see this quality. So I'll go in the acronym of consistent. So CONSISTENT, and I'll just hopefully breeze through that. So number one thing, and they're not in particular order really, even though it's spelled that way, but it's just for the show really. The first thing I would say is commitment. Committed, being committed. So first quality, the C part is committed. Now, even though the environment is harsh, maybe things are not leveling up, finance or no encouragement, maybe policies are hostile, different things. Are you committed to what the vision you have, like where we started from? So are you committing yourself to that to say, okay, this is what I want to be. So in the next 10 years, I know people will laugh at this. I want to have my PhD. I want to get married, even though the person to get married in 10 years.
I'll just share that quickly before you go. The first time I met Taiwo, the first day I met Taiwo, Taiwo had like a 10-year plan of.
Oh my God.
I don't know if you mind me sharing that. Yes,
Go on. It's fine.
He had a date of when he was going to finish his degree, when he was going to start his master's, when he was going to get married, and but yeah, that actually shows somebody that is disciplined. It's people. There's a quote that said that it's not that people do not have the act of mastery, but not because they are not talented, but because they are not disciplined. For me,
Absolutely.
that alone showed me that you knew where you wanted to be. You were disciplined, and that helps you consistent. So I'll let you continue. So
Thank you very much.
That was my first meeting with Taiwo. He had
That's correct.
everything written. I'm like, okay. And then at several points, this was about, I think, 10, 11 years ago.
11 years ago, almost 11 years,
yeah.
10 years.
Every time I see him, and I take him back to the first day, and like, where are you? Is it in line with your initial, and we just laugh about it, just the way we are doing now. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And, it still lay credence to the word committed, that commitment, that even though I thought by now I should have had my doctorate, even though I'm still a PhD candidate at the moment, a researcher, because I'm committed to that course that God has showed me that's going to be, even though it didn't come out the time I wanted it, in the environment and different things, different factors play to that. I am still, I'm in my final PhD. I'm grateful to God for that. And even the marriage, I said, I was going to be married at so time, that didn't happen, but in the line of getting married soon. So I'm still committed and I still carry on. So the next thing there is being open. So the O is open. Are you open to opportunities? Are you open to learning? Are you open to, asking why or how am I going to go through these things in the right way though? And that's very important because some people are just so closed-minded. They're not open-minded at all. They just think, okay, because of the challenges I'm going through, I'm just going to throw in the towel. I am very open to, what God wants for me, what, people will speak into my life, different friends or, people in my community or environment I'm speaking about. Look, there's some things that you take from people, but you don't have to act on it because they're not in line with where you're going. But even if somebody tells you like 100 things, even if you use like 10 out of that 100, it will still move you forward in growth. So the point here is just being open-minded, to opportunities that come or to counsel or advice, that is in line with where you're going. So the next thing I'll talk about is being noble, showing that those personal qualities or I'll say high moral principles or standards. Sometimes when things are hard and difficult, people try to find the shortcuts, to go through life. And sometimes shortcuts are not shortcuts in the long run. They become long. You see.
Their initial values.
Yeah, definitely value. So that nobility, being noble person, showing those high moral principles, matter a lot, and especially when you're going through difficult challenges. So, and it's still in line with consistency. So the next thing I'll share is the S part. So I've said CON, committed, being open, being noble. And the next thing is strategic. So are you being strategic? Because sometimes some challenges that come your way, or if the environment is hostile to you, they are there as stepping stones and not necessarily stopping you. So they're there stepping stones for you. So I'm trying to think of an example. So for me in the academia, I've been in academia for a while now, particularly in higher education. And I realized that, okay, I've been to the industry as well. I worked a bit in the industry, but I just have this passion to teach and to lecture, as in to just impart into people. I could do that in the industry. I did that in the industry, but I just felt, particularly young people, mentoring young people and all of those things. I saw that as a passion, right? Now, I had, step back and sit down in terms of I wanted to do my PhD, and then I didn't get admission into like I applied to universities, and I had to go back to Nigeria, come back to the UK, and all of those things. So things were very difficult at that point, but I was being strategic in the sense that I saw those opportunities, those time that I was out of academia to learn. Okay,
Yeah.
what can I do to
challenges as an opportunity?
Absolutely, opportunity. So to just learn and be a better PhD candidate. So, and one of the things I did was I then had to come and do a master of research. So that master of research just opened my mind and opened my life to actually the life of research. Learning how to apply for funding, learning how to write papers, learning how to, do research that are quality, learning from PhD students. And Ebola was doing a PhD at that time, just being around with them and, learning. And so I was putting myself, in strategic things, and then when the opportunity came for me to get admission to PhD, it was just tick, pam, and then, published our first paper, even though I wasn't the first author on that one, but it just that those opportunities, even though they were those challenges, right, they became opportunities for me to be strategic, to know, how to learn from people who have gone ahead of me in academia, and then meeting researchers, gone for conferences, across the world, and things like that just helped me. So that's just being strategic. That don't let those challenges, stop you from thinking to say, okay, I need to learn from this, problem, and then converting them to opportunities. So the next one is I, which is inquisitive. You want me to be able to ask questions. Why is this? Why is black black? Why is red red? Why is white white? Why am I going through this? What is the best thing I can take out of this situation? Who can help me in this? Who can help me in that? So I ask questions a lot, sometimes even to the fault.
Yeah.
But I can testify to that. I would ask myself, okay, but how do you do this? This is some stupid question, and thanks to you actually, and to other people that have really, poured into my life, that you don't shun me down when I ask questions. One of my friends.
I would say that Taiwo is very good with asking questions. And I'm like, oh, Taiwo, I know it's good to be, that's part of the research, because I use the word, we're nosy people. We try to know everything, but you know what? Just leave me at this moment, yeah. Yeah. And yeah, for those that are watching, if you know that you agree, I want you to leave your comments on how asking questions have actually helped you to grow, to be consistent. Leave them in the comments, share with us so that we can know your own thoughts, So yes, I'll let you continue.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Bola, for this. And that's true. So, and I was just sharing the example of one of my friends who happens to be a architecture student a couple of years ago. And then she saw me, even as a postgraduate student, she saw me learning from another colleague. And she made a comment. She said that I'm doing like an undergraduate student, because the way my colleague was teaching me was, teaching me or answering my question, it was as if I'm in a class setting. But my friend, was seeing me as somebody who is up high there, like, oh, I should know everything. Or whereas for me, I just want to know what I'm doing. Now, this person I'm talking about, when she was doing the same postgraduate study I was doing, I think she had the person had the 2-1 or merit, if you like. But by the time she answered many of my questions and I went ahead to do some work and prayed and all of those things I did, I came out with a distinction, and the only one among my colleagues in that year for that course, that Master of Research. So being inquisitive, that you might look stupid when you're asking, you might look a bit inferior, but no, you know where you're going. Yeah. You know that part of consistency is ask questions. Sometimes they might look stupid, but make sure you do your research. And I learned it from Bola as well. Make sure you do your research, before you then ask questions, so that your question is not dumb. It's still the word is stupid, but just try your best. And if you still don't get it, then at least when you're asking the question, the person will know that you're asking an informed question, that you've tried your best, and then they're able to answer that. So the next one I'm going to speak about quickly is just separate, being separate. I'm not saying that you should, isolate yourself, but, don't be shy to go for a party of one, or to go for a dinner, and then you're the only one sitting on the table.
Yeah.
You know, don't be party for one is fine. You know, if there's need for that. I'm not saying you should isolate.
I
Carry
think
on, Bola.
it was Miles Monroe that was saying that you need quiet time. And that quiet
Yes,
time, it's okay to be on your own because it is a time for you to reflect. It is a time for you to gauge where you are, to look at where you have been and
that's
rearrange, or if you need to realign where you are going to. Yes, so I absolutely agree with you that a party of one, yeah, it's okay to have a party of one. If you agree, you watch it, if you agree that a party of one, it's okay to have a party of one, just type yes, 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 yes in the comments so that we can see. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, good.
Absolutely. Thank you, Bella, for shedding that light to that. Absolutely. So that quiet time is very, very important. That you just want to meditate. And again, let me sound the note that don't always think isolation is everything, but there's time for everything, right? So there's a time to isolate yourself to have that quiet time and to reflect and to, learn and to, just, time to even sometimes you can just go and cry yourself out of situation in that time. And then later you come back into the community, and then things like that. So, and remember this world we are in, like Bola was saying earlier, that nobody's waiting, is a moving world. At the same time, it's a
I really wish I could say to the world to wait so that I can have fun, but unfortunately, my community, everyone is going ahead of me. So
in ahead.
the world is not going to wait for you.
Yeah,
Time waits for
but
you. Yeah.
definitely. So, and ironically though, there's a time to just take a pause because the world of hurry now, even though the world is moving and we need to move with it fast, there's a time to actually just seclude, to be separate. That quiet time important because when we're doing that, I'll give you an example quick of motorway. When you're driving on the motorway, I drive on the motorway, you would see that everyone is actually just fast, racing, and I like to speed. I even got some speeding ticket as well, but you know, and but the thing is that when you get to a junction, or maybe when you get to traffic, the person you think you've left long ago will just be just behind you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And sometimes they will overtake you. So, we shouldn't, even though the world is moving and we move with it, we should not be too much in a hurry.
Sorry.
There should be time where we separate ourselves and just take a breather, rest. And Bola, again, sorry that I always been used as an example. There was a time I was having a writer's block in my research, and I spoke with you, and you told me like that you need to get out of your research sometimes and just go on holiday. If you think you have a writer's block, just go and quiet and do something else, and then come back to it with a fresh mind.
Yeah.
Carry on, you see. So there's that point of separation, that point of quiet time,
And
to actually
also,
yeah,
because
so
we're talking about the motorway, we all have different destinations.
yes, definitely.
I was speaking to somebody and the person was telling me, oh, I've written so much papers, I did it in a month, and for about a week or two, I felt really bad that, oh, Bola, where are you going? But after I sat down and I had a reflection. I thought, we have different goals. We have different visions. So because Mr. A or Mrs. A has done it this way, although we're on the same road, does not mean that I have to do the same. As long as I am not sitting and waiting, as long as I am taking those little steps, I am being consistent, Yeah,
Absolutely.
we'll get there.
Consistency, very key. Thank you for roping those points back into consistency, helping me with that. That's fantastic. So 4 more points, which is the TENT, so tent. Interesting. So the T is tenacious. Being tenacious. In what we do. Giving one's best. Diligence is part of that. Just knowing that okay, even though things are not rosy, I just want to try my best. Every little count. You see, just press into it, press into it. I don't do lazy. I don't like lazy around me. It's not right. And I'm sure even God Himself does not like laziness. He doesn't like idleness because they say the idle's mind is the devil's workshop. You see,
Yeah.
just be tenacious in whatever you do. If you're even like I gave example of care with due respect to my carers, I work in care, I worked in care, and I still do IT
It is
support care.
something I really want to do. It's something I say to everyone that I really want to. in that healthcare community, which is
Yes.
it's for anyone that finds you find yourself working within that sector. Well done. You
Hmm.
have
Well
that
done. Look at COVID.
amazing.
COVID-19 just exposed it, and
I know.
we see the value of people who deliver care. So why I brought in care again is just that if you are called in care of any profession or any business or anything, give your best to it. Be tenacious about it. Don't let people talk down on you saying because you're doing this particular thing. So maybe nurses used to be insignificant. They used to see them somehow. But when COVID happened, all the footballers or all those celebrities or whoever they were earning millions of pounds, they were nowhere to be found because COVID kept everybody at home. It is these nurses, these carers, these people that actually went out there into the field, to fight the war against COVID, and they're still there doing that against COVID-19. So it's always right and always good and laudable, I would say, to be tenacious in everything we find ourselves doing. That's consistency in it, right? So the E side of it is enduring. There's that quality of enduring in consistency, that I think this one answers the question perfectly. That just endure.
I know
There's
that,
always a light
that
at the end of
enduring
the tunnel.
with my PhD, there it
Yes,
looks beautiful now, isn't it? But I actually endured a lot.
you did. You
There have
did.
been times where I've had to. I was on my reading table and I cried. When you
Mm,
cry, like, I don't want to read. Why am I here? Why did I make this decision?
mm,
Or days where I am reading, I'm enjoying it, but I'm crying. I'm crying
mm,
because I'm not crying because I am there. I'm crying because I know where I want to be. I have a vision, and
yeah.
I just have to keep enduring. So if
Mm,
you are in that place now where you are crying, yes, just as Taiwo have said, just endure because there's
mm,
light at the end of the tunnel. The
absolutely.
world, that goal is going to be yours tomorrow. You're not doing the
That
wrong thing. It's okay to cry. It's okay to go through those
it
trials.
is.
It's
That,
okay. Face those challenges, but endure. I'll let you
mm.
continue.
Thank you so much, Ebola, for that. And there's always that reward at the end of it, because just imagine you've gotten to the let's say 80% of the journey of the destination, and then you give up and you stop being committed, you stop being open, you stop being noble, you stop being strategic, you stop being inquisitive, you stop being separate, stop being tenacious.
Mm.
You don't endure at 70 to 80% of the journey. And then you just, well, I've thrown in the towel, like Bola was sharing about the PhD. Today, you won't, if you have done that, you won't be a doctor today. You won't be making impact in the lives of the students, in the life of other colleagues, and even in the life of people, listening to us right now, sharing your own experience. And you've shared, many things you've gone through, throughout that journey, that seems like never ending, but you ended up in joy, and I could remember Elizabeth in her own gown. She was part of that journey of endurance, and that's public domain. So people can always check that out later on. But so enduring is so key, for inconsistency and in growth, in achieving success, in achieving growth. Endure. It's just, I don't know whoever is listening to us. You just be at the 90% of the journey. You could just be at, maybe you could even be in the 10% or 20%, but there's always that grace for you to endure, to keep pushing on. And it's not easy, me speaking to you, I've got things I go through. We all have things that we go through. Everyone goes through stuff. So you're not just the only one there, all right? So you're not alone, and like Bola said, it's okay to cry. It's okay. Even though I don't cry that much, but I do sometimes. It's okay to, but don't forget the sight where you're going, where I'm going in terms of, the vision and the end in mind. So the next one is noteworthy. It's what, um, you know, anything that we do, but this is toward the end of what I'm sharing, it's worth paying attention to what you're doing. It's worth, you know, being significant in whatever you're doing. Always ask yourself, is this worth it? Is this noteworthy? Is this something that people can talk about? Is this something that is making impact in the lives of people that people can take note of and say, wow, this lady, this guy is actually doing well, So it's very important that, we ask ourselves those questions. What I'm doing, is it worthy? Is it noteworthy? Can it be notable that people can say, yes, what I'm doing is right? So I try to do that all the time. I say, okay, is it really worth it? If it's not, then I want to rethink, what I'm doing. And finally, this point is so dear to my heart, and it's called being teachable. Being teachable. Um, if you're not teachable, you're going to lose a lot.
Yeah.
If you're not teachable, there's no, there's no hope for your growth. You see, no hope for it doesn't show consistency at all. So a key part of consistency is being teachable, being able to, no matter what, even at people like they believe the academics, we are, doctorate and whatever we do, you would see that you still have a supervisor, you still
Yeah.
have
We're still
somebody
learning, isn't it? You see me on my computer 247, and my husband keeps wondering, is it not? It's never ending, But because I agree with you, you have to be open and be open to learn. And
absolutely, absolutely. So I think I will just end there. Thank you.
wow, thank you so much, Taiwo. So Taiwo have shared this lots of tips, and we have shared this because we don't want you to. We want to minimize the
Mm,
risk of you regretting that you weren't consistent. We
mm,
want to help you minimize those regrets that you might have, because we know that if you are consistent, if you are consistent with whatever you are doing, you would grow. You would grow. If this is for you, I want you to leave it in the comment section that I will endure. Endure. You know, I said earlier that if pressure can actually burst a pipe, but pressure cannot, it creates diamonds as well.
mm,
So you need to endure, be consistent, because the world is going to be yours. The world
mm,
will belong to you tomorrow when you have that clear goal, when you find yourself in the right community, when you're tenacious, when you are consistent. And thank you so much, Taiwo. Thanks for sharing all those tips. I hope
my
someone
pleasure.
has found this very useful. I hope this is actually touched that part of your life that is not being consistent, and you look forward to growing that part of your life. Thank you so much, Taiwo. And yes, we're really grateful that you've been able to share part of what your experience and your knowledge with us, that will help us be our better self, that will help us be a better version of ourselves. And yeah, we're really glad to have you. So I'll let you.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Bola. I appreciate it.
Thanks to Taiwo for sharing those thoughts and tips with us. Will you be consistent? Will you persevere? Will you stick long enough with it to see you yourself grow, to be the best version of yourself? If you would do that, can you say it right in the comment section? I will persevere. I will be consistent. If you have found this very useful, I want you to share this. Share this with your friend. Share this with that person that needs to hear this. Share this with that family, you know, and give it a thumbs up. If you don't want to miss things like this, I want you to click on the notification, subscribe for those watching on YouTube. So subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss our future episode on sessions like this, where experts share their thoughts on how to help you to achieve your purpose, to find your voice, to find the right community, to find the right community. So do not forget to subscribe. And yes, thanks for joining me today. And I look forward to seeing you next week on Bows. And this is Dr. Bola Adeyeye Umishade. Bye.